How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, to recap Game 3 of the American League Wild Card Series, Game 3 between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yankees pull it off. They get the win. They move on. They will be taking on another AL East opponent in the Toronto Blue Jays. They win by a final score of 4-0. And how did this unfold? Well, going into this series, you had a couple of young pitchers making their postseason debuts. Cam Schlittler going for the Yankees, who was added to the rotation because and came up from the minors because of the injury to Clark Schmidt, really. And with the Red Sox, they were going with the left-hander making his first career postseason start, the rookie Connolly Early, left-handed pitcher. And both pitchers early on were matching each other. They were putting up zeros. But then, once we got to the fourth inning, that's where everything changed. What we saw tonight was a vintage pitching performance. Similar to what we saw out of Garrett Crochet the other night. We saw we saw a performance that was even better than Garrett Crochet. Cam Schlittler said, "Hold my beer." Cam Schlittler, from the start of the game to when he finished up the eighth inning, that's right. Another starting pitcher went into the eighth inning and completed the eighth inning. Because you got to remember, Garrett Crochet came out a little bit before that. He pitched 8 innings. He was in control, had great command throughout his entire start. Red Sox really could not get anything going. Yeah, they had some hits here or there. Yoshida got on base, had a couple of hits. But there really was never a point where the Red Sox looked like they were going to get across a run. Cam Schlittler was unbelievable in this game. And, what he did tonight has not been done in postseason history. So, with the Yankees, he had the most strikeouts in a postseason debut with 12. He was on a mission tonight. And I said going into this game, I had confidence in Schlittler because the way he goes about things, the way he conducts himself. There's just something about him that gives you confidence that he's going to go out there and he's going to pitch very well. Like, he has that edge. It doesn't seem like anything is going to faze him. And that's exactly what happened tonight. He goes out there and he takes the bull by the horns and he locks in, and he was getting Red Sox hitters left and right. 12 strikeouts. And I think the underrated part is he didn't walk anybody. No walks. And I think it was after the second or third inning, there was never a point where there was a 3-2 count. There was never a point where he was on the verge of walking somebody. One pitch away from walking somebody. Goes back to what I said, the control, the command. Yeah, there were some pitches that were out of the zone that Wells had to spring up to catch. But other than that, he locked it down. And he did the Yankees a huge favor tonight because the Yankees only used David Bednar. They didn't have to use anybody else. So that, combined with the off day, the Yankees are going to... obviously the Blue Jays bullpen is going to be more rested. But that did the Yankees a huge favor, this performance tonight. And obviously, early on in this game, Yankees offense wasn't really getting anything going. Other than, which I thought for a moment it was out, but he didn't quite get all of it. So Giancarlo Stanton in the second inning hits a ball to deep left center field, and you think for the moment that that's going to get out. Yankees are going to be up 1-0, but it hits off the wall. And Stanton was looking at the dugout for a second because he thought it was out, celebrating with his teammates. But then he quickly realizes, oh, that ball did not go out. And he somehow made it to second base. I don't know how he didn't get thrown out at second. I thought for sure he was I thought for sure he was a dead duck at second base. I thought they were going to nail him there, but he somehow gets to second base with the double, but the Yankees were not able to scratch across or able to get him across there. So it was still 0-0 after 2. And then also actually in the top of the first with Schlittler, I forgot to mention, and I thought this was going to come back to bite the Yankees, was Rice drops a foul ball. Should have caught it. Ends up drop. It was a tough catch. Probably should have been either Judge or Chisholm to go over and make the catch, but he ends up dropping it. Didn't matter because then Schlittler gets Bregman to strike out. So yeah, I mean then top of the third, clean inning for both for Schlittler, and then you get to the bottom of the third inning. Grisham singles, but then Judge ends up grounding out, so that ends the inning there. Like I said, Yoshida a single, but they couldn't get him across. And then this is where it turned in the Yankees' favor. The Yankees didn't really hit the ball that hard in the bottom of the fourth inning when they scored all of those runs. Bellinger hits a bloop double that gets hit into the triangle of the Red Sox outfielders. Rafaela dives for it, not able to make the catch. So this is the second consecutive night now where you have a Red Sox fielder diving for a ball. They don't catch it when the ball should have been caught. So Bellinger is at second. Stanton ends up walking, works the count full. How many pitches was that at bat? It was a 7-pitch at bat. I think the ball 4 was just off the plate. So Stanton gets on with the walk, but then Early gets Rice striking out, swinging. And then Amed Rosario comes up. So Rosario playing for McMahon. We'll talk about McMahon in a little bit. He hits a single to left field. I thought that could have been, the play could have been made there, but it wasn't. Was able to find the hole there. That put the Yankees up 1-0. And then Chisholm, in the next AB, he singles, but because Stanton is the runner at second base, he's not able to go home on that. So now you got the bases loaded. Anthony Volpe comes up, and he hits a ground ball to the right side that finds the hole, gets through. 2-0 Yankees. And then Wells comes up and ends up being an error on the first baseman, Nathaniel Lowe. He's not able to field it cleanly. Otherwise, that would have been a double play, and the inning would have been over there. But that allowed 2 runs to score, Jazz and Rosario. That made it 4-0 Yankees. Grisham flew out. Judge got hit by a pitch, but then Bellinger flew out to end that frame. But then it was all zeros after that. Cam Schlittler just locked in. A couple of singles, though, in the top of the 5th inning, but he struck out the side. Yankees, again, nothing in the bottom of the 5th inning. Ryan McMahon does come in for Rosario to play third base. Trevor Story ended up singling in the inning, but Cam Schlittler retired the side after that. Yankees couldn't get anything across in the bottom of the 6th inning. Top of the 7th inning rolls around, fly out, pop out, strikeout of Wilner Abreu. And you thought that was maybe going to be it for Schlittler, but it was a very quick inning. Very quick inning. Because Lowe pops up on the second pitch of the at-bat. Then Narvaez, he ends up getting out. That at-bat was 4 pitches. And then you had, in the next AB, it was Wilner Abreu. And he gets him out very quickly. He strikes him out. And then ESPN pointed this out on the broadcast. They were reading Boone's lips, and he was saying, like, he's still throwing strikes. Like, it looked like he was saying, like, hey, we're going to send him back out there for the 8th inning. And that's exactly what they did. So we did see Greg Weissert in this game, former Yankee, but then Steven Matz came in the bottom of the 7th inning. Judge flew out, and then he gets Bellinger to ground out. And I thought it was going to be a close play because Matz is running to, or, oh wait, no. Greg Weissert replaces Steven Matz. Yeah, so Weissert is in, gets Judge to fly out. Then Weissert and you would think Bellinger is going to, run with Weissert, and it's going to be a close play at first base. But Bellinger is just not even running. He's very lightly jogging to first base. And now you're thinking, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. Now Bellinger did stay in the game, but that's something to keep an eye on. Looks like he's going to be good to go for Saturday against the Blue Jays, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And the Yankees didn't have Austin Slater on the roster. They carried 3 catchers, technically, obviously with Rice, Wells, and Escara. So they didn't have Slater. They didn't have Slater available in this series. So it would have been either you put Caballero out there or you put Dominguez out there and you cross your fingers. But thankfully that did not have to happen. So now they send out Cam Schlittler for the top of the 8th inning. For the top of the 8th. And he made quick work. He made quick work once again of the Red Sox hitters. Gets Romy Gonzalez to strike out. Duran pops out on the first pitch. And this was, you could think of Derek Jeter. I'll tell you the other play. There were 2 plays in this game that reminded me of the 2021 season. Stanton hitting the home run off the wall against the Red Sox, and we thought it was out. Like it was in the wild card game at Fenway when we thought the ball was out, but it ended up being a single. Although, obviously, we don't have the Yankee Stadium doesn't have a green monster. It's, just a normal wall. So there was that play reminded me of 2021, the wild card game. And then this play reminded me of 2021 too. More so than Jeter diving into the stands. Ryan McMahon, on this play, Duran pops out. McMahon's running for it, makes the catch, and then flips over the dugout wall. But he's able to brace his fall, thankfully. Weiser was there to at least attempt to catch him. Didn't really get there in time. But McMahon braced his fall, didn't hit his head or anything, thankfully. He got popped right back up and walked out of the dugout okay. But what a play by McMahon making that catch. But it reminded me of what Gio Urshela did in Game 162 in 2021 when there was a pop-up in foul territory, third base side. Urshela makes the play. Now, rather than flipping over the wall, he fell into the stairwell. And it was like several minutes it took a little bit, but he got back up, finished the game. Yankees won on an Aaron Judge walk-off. But two plays from Game 3 of this series reminded me of 2021. Just wanted to point that out there. Now, one of them was good, one of them was bad because the Yankees won Game 162 on the Judge walk-off. And in the wild card game, the Yankees ended up losing 6-2 to the Red Sox. And then, to finish up the inning, Trevor Story grounds out to Volpe. And I was hoping that Cam Schlittler was going to come out for the 9th inning to complete the game, get the shutout. But Boone said he's done. So I'm not going to get on Boone for this, okay? We as fans that want to have somewhat of a rooting interest for the Yankees, you want to see this guy, the kind of performance that he's on, you want to see him complete the game. So you get a little greedy. So that's what it was. It was a bit of greed. So yeah, Schlittler doesn't come out for the 9th inning. Red Sox put in Chapman. Goldschmidt leads off the inning with the single, but he strikes out the side. I mean, what a year for Aroldis Chapman. And the Red Sox extended him as they should. I mean, he's really shown no signs of slowing down. So we get to the 9th inning. Bednar comes in. He does walk Bregman, but he does get Yoshida to ground into a force out. They get 1 out. He strikes out Rafaela, and then Nathaniel Lowe pops out to Ryan McMahon. Final out of the game, and the Yankees win, and they beat the Red Sox. They eliminate the Red Sox from the postseason for the first time since Aaron Boone hit that home run against the Red Sox in extra innings off of Tim Wakefield. And the other thing, too, is that made me feel, I guess, more optimistic that the Yankees could pull this off is this also was the anniversary of when Bucky Dent hit the home run against the Red Sox, that famous home run. And the Yankees ended up winning that game. I think it was in 1978. Yeah, so there was the anniversary of the Bucky Dent home run. So there was that. The Yankees had that on their side. But, yeah, I mean, once again, key contributions from Volpe. I mean, he did have 3 strikeouts, but still, I mean, he got an RBI. Also, again, played very good defense in this game, too. There was a play at second base where Jazz threw to Volpe, and Volpe made a nice scoop on that. Otherwise, you could have had second and third, and the Red Sox had a golden opportunity there. Would have had a golden opportunity to take advantage of that. But that was also similar. That play was also similar to when Jazz was playing third and Volpe was playing short against the Dodgers in the World Series, where Volpe tried to get the force out, and Jazz couldn't. It wasn't a great throw, and Jazz wasn't able to make the play, and the bases were loaded. So that's another play from tonight, from Game 3, that reminded me of a play from another game in Yankee history. Yeah, that one not so good, not so good. And by the way, ESPN reminded Yankee fans of that game with the little stat on the bottom, that they have this amazing record when they score. I think it's when they score 4 or more runs in an elimination game. They were like, I don't know what it was. They were like 140 something and 7, and the last game where that applied was Game 5 of the World Series last year, and they lost that game. So I was saying, yeah, thanks ESPN for reminding Yankee fans of that. But yeah, I mean, it's an impressive stat. It's an impressive stat. But 2 more hits from Jazz tonight. Big RBI single from Amed, Rosario. Bellinger, the double that got things started. Stanton, the double that you thought was going to be a home run. That was Stanton's first hit of the series. I was hoping that both him and Judge would homer tonight. That didn't happen. Judge also hit one that was off the end of the bat. If he would have barreled that up, that could have been gone. But not the case. Grisham had a hit as well. But Stanton, like I said, if the Yankees are to advance, which they did, it's only a matter of time before Stanton wakes up and turns into playoff Stanton. And it's now officially October. So Game 1, it was September 30th. Now we're in October, and Stanton hit a missile that did not go out. Now, he made it light of it after the game as the Yankees are celebrating in the clubhouse. Meredith Marakovitz of the Yes Network was interviewing Stanton, and he made a joke of it and basically said, hey, kids, don't do that. Do not do that. And he said that will never happen again. And I like that because what Stanton did, now, many players have done this in the past, but it made me think of Josh Donaldson, because how many times when Josh Donaldson was a Yankee, I mean, Josh Donaldson would do it in general, and Josh Donaldson at one point was a very good player, but when he was with the Yankees, yeah, his better days were past him. Josh Donaldson, how many times would he do something like that, where he would stare it down and think it's gone when it's not? And you know what? But Donaldson, I don't think ever owned up to it. Stanton did. So Stanton, the next time that he hits a ball like that, he's going to make sure that, all right, it's either it's out or it's not. If it's not out, you run hard, even though he really can't run to begin with. But if it's not, if he knows for certain that it's out, then you do what you did tonight. And it obviously didn't matter. You know, it didn't matter. It could have been something that came back to bite the Yankees, but it didn't. It didn't. They got the win. And they did something that they do, that they have done many times over the course of the season, where they score all their runs in one inning and that's it. But it was enough because Cam Schlittler was having a performance for the ages. So it really didn't matter what the Yankees did or didn't do. They did strike out 11 more times last night. Last night. It's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. But I mean, Cam Schlittler, 107 pitches, 75 strikeouts. Like, he got through 8. He got through the 7th inning, and his pitch count is still in shape where you're like, all right, we'll send him out there again. And yeah, he finishes with 107. I mean, what a performance. Not fazed by the atmosphere. I mean, the crowd, all 3 games, really into it. That's what happens when you got postseason in the Bronx. I mean, the Yankee fans really bring it when it's the playoffs. I mean, there are other fan bases that do the same thing. I'm just speaking from experience with being at the game myself. It, of course, doesn't live up to how it used to in the old stadium. But, I mean, there are times with the Yankee where the new Yankee Stadium, the crowd really brings it in the postseason. So, yeah, I mean, overall, this was a very exciting series. And like I said, the Yankees, they knocked off the Red Sox in the playoffs for the first time in years, in 2 decades. It was a good series. It was a good series. The Red Sox, you know, first off, hats off to them because they were very gutsy in this series. They played the Yankees very tough here. I mean, they played the Yankees tough all year. They overmatched the Yankees at times and, were the better team, but not in this series. But, yeah, you could point to the fact that, they got some guys out. They had guys out for this series. Roman Anthony, Lucas Giolito come to mind, because Giolito would have been the Game 3 starter. The Red Sox going into this offseason, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They definitely need another bat in that lineup. You're going to get Roman Anthony back. And if you strengthen, and maybe you add another starting pitcher, you bolster the bullpen. But this Red Sox team is not that far off from really being a major threat in this American League. I mean, I would say if they were fully healthy, and maybe if they had Devers. I mean, you could say that because it's funny how I say, yeah, they need that big bat. I mean, it would have been Rafael Devers, but we all know how that ended. But and honestly, I like what I saw. I saw it early, the young left-hander. I thought he was pretty good to start out the game. Again, it's not like the Yankees crushed the ball when they scored all those runs, and I had the feeling that he was going to pitch good. I didn't think that he was going to be completely, it looked like a deer in headlights. I didn't expect that. And I feel like you got some sense that there were Yankee fans that were overly confident that, this is going to be a walk in the park. They're going to get to this guy and he's going to have nothing. He was pretty good. He got Jazz Chisholm, and he made Jazz Chisholm and Ben Rice look silly. He was able to get past Aaron Judge. Stanton crushed that ball, but it didn't go out. He was able to navigate through this lineup. It's just they got away from him in the fourth inning. And Cora had to go to the bullpen. And you know what? The bullpen for the Red Sox did its job. But speaking of what Cora did, because I thought he managed a great game in game two. It's just the Yankees won a close game. Again, shout out to Aaron Boone, because I know many people, and I'll say this over and over again as long as I'm doing this, I know that people get upset when he takes the starter out too early. And I think people will still be mad that Schlittler got taken out after the eighth inning, as that being too early. Well, there's only one inning left. But he kept Schlittler in longer than I thought he would have. And that shows you that, he might have too much faith in guys at times. I bring this up all the time. It's a blessing and a curse. He really trusted Cam Schlittler enough that we're going to send you back out there for the eighth inning. And Schlittler delivered. He got through 8 innings, 8 shutout innings with 12 strikeouts. That doesn't really hit now that I just watched that. But you get further away from that performance, you're going to look back and say, wow, it's going to hit you that was quite a performance. It really was. It really was. I mean, that's the great version of baseball. When you got guys in this series like Crochet, like Schlittler, these starting pitchers that go very deep into games. And that's why postseason baseball is amazing too, is you get these kind of performances. But baseball needs these type of starting pitchers. Okay? Not these openers, not bullpen games. No. You need more guys like this. This is what makes baseball great. You can't get rid of that. So I mean, I still can't even believe that start that we watched with Schlittler. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was, I mean, you could say I might get some weird looks. It was a legendary performance. It was legendary. Because what he did tonight is unheard of. I mean, again, no walks. You would think that there was going to be walks. There was nothing. There was never a point there was really never a point in this game past the second inning where he was on the verge of walking somebody. And then he gets taken out and Bednar walks a guy, but didn't matter. But also, shout out, another player to shout out. We talk about Jazz and what he did. Austin Wells, shout out to him for working with the pitching staff. Did a great job with that. Got the big hit that scored Jazz. Jazz making some great plays. And this is really without hitting home runs. for the Yankees. But before we get back to that, Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe. I remember when I said this, and I posted a short of this on TikTok. I said, everybody is so quick to forget what Anthony Volpe did in the postseason last year. He hit the grand slam in the World Series, and he had pretty good numbers. Volpe is a different kind of player, another player, that when the calendar flips to October, he's a different player. He's a different kind of guy. He looks like a completely different guy right now. He's making all the plays. He's making tough plays. I mean, tonight, Jazz throws him a tough ball to get the out at second base. He's able to scoop it up, make the play. You had Devin Williams who kind of, lollipopped the throw to second base. He had to jump up to catch it. Still was able to turn the double play. I mean, he is really whipping it when he's throwing it. Okay? The ball is not really bouncing when the ball leaves his hand, his throwing hand. He's making all the plays. And on top of that, he's getting big hits. I know the Yankees lost in Game 1, but he got things started off with that home run. He was the Yankees' only source of offense, and then he had the other single after that ended the, 0 for 17. Yankee batters couldn't do anything. And then Game 3, he gets a big hit. That scores a run. So Anthony Volpe, different kind of player in October. And if he can keep this up, it's a huge plus. It's a huge plus for the Yankees. And this is without, now this goes back to what I was going to say, the Yankees really didn't rely on the home run in this series. Like Volpe hit the home run in Game 1, I get it, but they ended up losing that game. Ben Rice gets things started off with a 2-run homer, but that was the only other home run that the Yankees hit in the series. All 4 runs that they scored were not courtesy of the long ball. They were all bloops. They were all ground balls. I mean, it was small ball. It was small ball. That's what it was. That's what got them the win. And on top of that, they won close games. Now, this one, you had a 4-run cushion, but still, I mean, the Red Sox still could have came back from that. It was not insurmountable. But, I mean, in large part, that had to do with the fact that, again, Cam Schlittler. But the Yankees won close games, and that was something that I had my concerns about going into the series. Well, so far, the Yankees have kind of checked that box that, hey, they can win close games. They could do that. Now, they're in great shape, like I said, bullpen-wise, because they only had to use Bednar. So, other than Bednar, who pitched, I mean, you get, like I said, you got all of Game 3. Nobody else pitched besides Bednar, and then you got the off day, the travel day. So I really like that. Now, going into this series against the Blue Jays, you're going to have your Game 4 starter pitching Game 1. Right? You're going to have Luis Gil taking the mound against whoever the Blue Jays throw out there. I would imagine it's going to be Kevin Gausman. I feel like that would make sense. My guess is it's going to be Gausman, Game 1, Bassett, Game 2. One of them's not hurt, right? I don't think so. But if everybody is healthy, because I don't know why I feel like someone's hurt. But Gausman 1, Bassett 2, Barrios 3, either Barrios or Scherzer, and then vice versa, 3 and 4. Potential Game 4. That's how it's gonna line up, I would imagine, unless they throw somebody else out there. But the other thing too is the Yankees are not really gonna have to use their left-handed lineup. Now they're gonna put the right-handers against the lefties, because the Blue Jays, their starters are all right-handed. There's no lefty that the Blue Jays are going to throw at the Yankees. That's a starter. Now, however, when you get into the later innings, Blue Jays do have lefties that they could throw at the Yankees. So then that will lead to you seeing Rosario and obviously Goldschmidt you're going to see in those situations. So Caballero. But I do like that advantage for the Yankees is you could put in your best lineup. Your best hitting lineup. You're going to have Ben Rice in there, and Jazz should never see the bench again in these playoffs. I don't care. He's going to be playing. I mean, Rice, if he has to sit for Goldschmidt, because honestly, when Rice struck out with Stanton on second, and then he also struck out again. I was saying I felt like if Goldschmidt was playing, Goldschmidt would have did something in one of those two spots. I really did feel that. But again, look, Boone played Ben Rice right in the hot hand. So I'm not going to get upset with that because I mean, the previous night everybody was yelling at Boone for not putting in Rice. So I thought Boone did a good job. I thought Boone did a good job in this series overall. All things considered. But yeah, so with the Blue Jays, like I said, that does play into the Yankees' favor. But look, Yankees got to go out there and prove it. They got to go out there and prove that they could beat the Blue Jays because they did not do a good job at that this year. Well, really in Toronto because they won both series at Yankee Stadium. They did do that. So home field advantage is going to play a huge role in this series. If the Yankees could go back to Yankee Stadium at one game apiece, that would be great. That would be great. If you're up 2-0, even better, but I don't think that's going to happen. If you're down 0-2, well, hey, the Yankees have been in that spot before. They have been in that spot before where they're down 0-2, but, you go back to 2017, they won both games in the Bronx, and then what happened when they went to Cleveland? They won. So, and I'm just talking about it in the Judge era. But, yeah, I mean, what a game. What a game, what a series. Yankees, Blue Jays. First time ever that these two teams will be playing in the playoffs, playing a playoff series. That it's going to be a lot of fun. And with this Yankee Red Sox series, you got to see these teams in the ALCS again at some point. All right, because we saw them in the wild card game, we saw them in the division series, we see them in the wild card series now. These teams at some point got to be in the ALCS again, even though I mean they're going to have fans on the edge of their seats like they did in this series. I mean, you have it in a 7-game series, people are going to lose their minds. But that's one box that gets checked off. There is the Yankees winning this series and now moving on to the division series. And we'll see what happens. It should be a very fun series. Blue Jays are well rested. You got to wonder, does the layoff hurt them? Only time will tell. We'll find out. But, the Blue Jays, though, they really make Yankee pitchers work. So that's something that is going to play a factor. They foul off a ton of pitches. They really work the counts. They do a great job at that. So we'll see if the Yankees are able to avoid that in some capacity. Like I said, it's going to be Luis Gil most likely that's going to be getting the ball in Game 1. But yeah, I mean, all things considered, the starting pitching was a strength in the series against the Red Sox. Fried was very good. Rodon was a mixed bag. For some reason, and I remembered this, I said that he had a strong start and a strong finish. I guess because I was saying he had a strong finish to the 6th inning, but then in the 7th inning, he walked 2 guys and he basically was going to walk the Rand, and he hit him. So I think that's what I meant to say. Rodon did not have a strong finish. But yeah, Rodon had a strong start, not a great finish, mixed bag. But he did enough for the Yankees to win the game. Okay, Yankees were put in a position to still win the game, even with Rodon giving up the 3 runs. So, yeah, he was a mixed bag. And then you got Cam Schlittler, who was unreal. So now we'll see what Luis Gil does in Game 1. It's a strength for the Yankees. You got 4 starters, and if Gil can figure it out, you got 4 starters that can give you length, and then you really gotta just cross your fingers and just hope the bullpen holds because. Yeah, I mean, Game 3, you had Bednar. Bednar's been fine. But Weaver was not good in Game 1. Fernando Cruz was in some trouble, but, he was able to get out of it. Devin Williams was good. We didn't see Tim Hill. We didn't see Mark Leiter Jr. So, I mean, we'll see what happens when those guys get involved. And who else am I missing? Actually, no, we did see Tim Hill. Tim Hill did come in Game 1. I think he got the last out. But yeah, that's yeah. And we didn't see Camilo Duvall at all. We didn't see him either. So yeah, that I do worry about the bullpen. I do think that this lineup, I mean, again, if they see Kevin Gausman again and he just dominates, I just don't like. They got to hit Gausman at some point, right? I mean, they've seen him so many times over the years. They got to get to him at least once. Got to get to him. Look, they won the series without the long ball. Not a lot of contributions out of Stanton. Judge didn't have an extra base hit. You got to figure that those guys are gonna get it going now. All right, it's time. It's time because I'm seeing all the Stanton edits from last year. It's time we got to add some more highlights to that. Well, tonight it could have been possible, but that ball did not go out. So, yeah, Stanton's got to be more Stanton highlights got to be added to those edits, and Judge. Judge has got to get an extra base hit, maybe get a long ball as well. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, Ryan McMahon, look, the guy is not the best hitter, okay? Not the best hitter. But he could really pick it over at third base, and he made a great play, putting his body on the line. That's what you love. You appreciate that as a fan. You appreciate that they put themselves on the line when they know they're gonna hit their head. Well, he didn't hit his head, thankfully. Dives into the dugout to make this play, and yeah, look, that's all you can ask for him. Maybe he gets a base hit. I mean, he got a base hit in game 2. All you can hope for from McMahon is just continue. Like, yeah, you might not get it done with the bat, but just continue to make good plays over at third base, and the Yankees should be okay. The Yankees' defense was, for the most part, sharp. There wasn't a ton of plays that really killed them. I mean, there was when Judge, fielded that ball, wasn't really quick to it, and runner got to second base on that. Ben Rice dropped the pop-up. Rodon throwing to first base, and Jazz not being able to stay on the bag for that. Yeah, there were some plays you could look at and say, yeah, but it didn't really kill the Yankees that much. I mean, the Red Sox, yeah, they didn't play a clean games the last couple nights. They didn't make plays, and you would expect that out of the Yankees, but no, it was the Red Sox. I mean, from fly balls that should have been caught to ground balls that weren't fielded cleanly. Yeah, I mean there was some mistakes in the field for the Red Sox. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise there. And the Yankees, they capitalized on them. When they got the breaks, they capitalized on them. So yeah, let's see what happens in this series because the Blue Jays, they capitalized on plenty of Yankee mistakes this year. So we'll see what kind of series this shapes out to be. Yankees are playing their best baseball at the right time. But this Blue Jays lineup, it's better than the Red Sox. It's better than the Red Sox. There's a lot more length to this lineup than there is with the Red Sox. A lot of players that you got to deal with. Obviously, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you got George Springer, who has had a revelation of the season, at his advanced stage in his mid-30s. But he looks like the George Springer from the Astro days when they began their run. I believe Bo Bichette is back for this series, so that's huge. You got to deal with him. You got to deal with Alejandro Kirk, Addison Barger, and guys like Davis Schneider and Andres Jimenez. There's a lot of guys they're gonna have to deal with. This is a better lineup, and they got a good starting pit. They got good starting pitching. The bullpen's a little shaky. Jeff Hoffman, not the best closer, blew some games this year. So I mean, the Blue Jays are not. I know, look, the Blue Jays played very well against the Yankees. The Blue Jays were the better team than the Yankees, even though they finished with the same record. But the Blue Jays owned the Yankees this year. But it's not going to be impossible for the Yankees to win this series. It's not impossible. They could definitely win this series. They just got to go out there and prove it. Look, the Red Sox, they beat up on the Yankees, and the Yankees got the best of them in this playoff series. Can they do the same thing against the Blue Jays now in this next box that they need to check? We'll find out. So, I think we pretty much touched upon everything. Again, shout out to Cam Schlittler. Unbelievable game. That'll go down in the history books. Never forget that. Never forget where you were if you care about the pitching performance by Schlittler when this performance happened. Never forget that. And once more, hats off to the Red Sox because look, this team is going to be dangerous in future years. when they get everybody back healthy, they make some moves in the offseason, this team is going to be right back here next year. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm not going to dunk on the Red Sox because like they could have very easily won this series. If a couple of things bounced their way, they'd be the ones going to Toronto and not the Yankees. So it was a very winnable series for both teams. It was up for grabs. Yankees got the better of them. The Yankees were able to squeak by. So now they get the tougher opponent in the Blue Jays. But yeah, hats off to the Red Sox. The future is bright for this team. It is. But yeah, so Dodgers, they moved on. They're taking on the Phillies. That's going to be a great series. The Tigers won. They knocked off the Guardians. So a reverse of last year when the Guardians knocked out the Tigers. Tigers knock out the Guardians. And this is the second time in 2 years that the Tigers have advanced from the wild card series. So yeah, they'll be taking on the Mariners. That's going to be an interesting series. And then the Cubs knock off the Padres. Cubs knock off the Padres. They win 3-1. They'll be taking on the Brewers. So you got an AL East matchup and an NL Central matchup. So teams that are going to know each other well. But yeah, I did talk about the Dodgers Phillies. So it's Ohtani against Sanchez. Freddie Peralta's getting the Game 1 start for the Brewers. Again, I would imagine, my guess, it's Gausman against Heel. That's my assumption. And then I don't know what the Tigers-Mariners is Game 1 matchup is going to be. But we'll find out. But yeah, everything gets started on Saturday. Can't wait. If you're a National League person, the games are on TBS, I believe. And then if you're an American League affiliate, Fox and FS1. Fox and FS1. Back in the day, it used to all be TBS. It was all TBS. But then FS1 became an entity, and now they get games, and obviously Fox does the World Series every year. You know, it's weird because I find myself saying I'm actually going to miss Brian Anderson calling the Yankee games this year. Because usually, I mean, in the past, the Yankees had bad luck with Brian Anderson doing the games. Because every time he would call a Yankee series, they wouldn't win. Until last year against the Guardians, they won. And he had some very iconic calls. Even the big Christmas home run, that was an iconic call. But we are going to get Joe Davis. We are going to see Joe Davis on the call. Joe Davis does a very good job. It's just probably gives Yankee fans PTSD, including myself, because he was on the call for the World Series last year. So, I made a joke about that week 2 of the NFL season when the Giants took on the Cowboys, because I said anytime Joe Davis does the games for the teams I root for, you know, it kind of gives you PTSD, like I said, like the World Series. And sure enough, you know, he does the game against the Giants and the Cowboys, and you know, Aubrey kicks the 64-yard field goal. They lose in overtime, all that. But Joe Davis does an incredible job calling games. He's really come into his own since taking over for Joe Buck and doing the World Series. And it's really, and another thing that's strange is when I was younger, you know, I couldn't, because being a huge Yankee fan, when Joe Buck's on the call, you just think Joe Buck has it out for your team. But now that Joe Buck is on Monday Night Football, I miss him doing the big games on Fox, you know, the championship games and the Super Bowl. Now, I think ESPN is going to get the chance to broadcast the Super Bowl, so him and Aikman are going to be doing it again. But yeah, I kind of miss him doing those games and calling baseball games on Fox. Now, he did call a game on ESPN. He called the Yankees-Brewers game on opening day. But, you know, that's it. You know, he's not really doing baseball. So, yeah. Sorry, we went way off topic there. Yeah. Matchups are set for the division series. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a very tough series. You thought that Yankees-Red Sox series was exhausting? Well, now you got to deal with the Toronto Blue Jays, and that series is going to be even worse. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, great series, other than Reds-Dodgers. Sorry, Reds. But great series across the board for the most part in the wild card series. Some very good baseball games, and we're in store for some even more of that coming up this weekend. So as always, everybody, I was going to end it before, and we got sidetracked, but As always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video and to the channel. And wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to look us up as well. You look up Infinite Sports, you can listen to us on the go, wherever you are. And I know I go out of order sometimes. I don't pick a set. I thought I had the set order, but I always go out of order. But make sure to also follow us on the social media platforms in the description below. And as always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.